Here we go. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. This is Leespui here. You know, we talk our talk, and it's that time for us to talk that talk, right? So, last night I had a video about, oh, by the way, if this is your first time seeing me, the whole spiel, welcome and all that. And of course, you all always welcome because part of what we do here is that we're technically breaking bread. You know what I'm saying? So let's get together, you know what I'm saying? Get a plate. Let's talk about it, all right? So last night I had a video about the fake self and your true self. I touch on a little bit on the ego and, how different it is and how the fake self, why am I not speaking correctly tonight? Okay, why is the fake self now is associated with your conditioning, right? So now this time it's still gonna be, this is gonna be part two. And technically what I'm gonna be talking about here, it's kind of like, other parts, that the fake self affects you as a person, and how it pretty much prevent you from being a whole person. I mean, that's what the whole thing is, versus your true self. So technically whatever the fake self does, your true self is going to operate differently because they are opposite. They see things on a different sets of rules, and it's on a different plane. So now, with that being said, let's get right into it. So technically, what I said about the fake self, technically, is that the core motivation of fake self was pleasing people. And there are so many things that comes when you're not being yourself. Now you feel like, or not even, well, you feel like you have to please people because now you got to feed in. And by you feeding in into what everybody else has going on, you actually preventing yourself from growth, from being or growth, and from fully expressing yourself as well. So I felt like there was a couple things maybe that I did touch on, but maybe that I didn't really emphasize on, or maybe certain things that I failed to even touch on that I wanted to talk about tonight. And here I am. That's why you're getting part two right now. Bam. So let's do it. So, and I believe I did talk about, the core again, just to get back to what I was talking about. The main thing about the fake self is that it is motivated by pleasing others, right? So now by you constantly looking to please other people, now it's like now, your true self is being put on a back burner. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, your what you truly want to do is not being expressed. Now, you're doing things that other people validate. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's how it's not organic for yourself, and it's pretty much hurting you in the long run. You know what I'm saying? Because now, and one of the other thing that the fake self does is that it gives you a limited belief. It pretty much derived from limited belief. It's not giving it to you because it's the fact that you're not looking at the full picture, as far as being yourself, as far as identifying some of your unique traits and express that to the world. But instead, you want to be just like everybody else. So it stems from, like, the fake self stems from limited belief to begin with. Whereas if you're talking about your true self embrace yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? It's more of a cosmic, or more, I should, maybe not cosmic, but more, sorry. Whoa, gee. But more, a more holistic belief. You know what I'm saying? And, and also another thing that, your fake self does to you is that it makes you an extreme perfectionist, in the sense of, you don't want to make mistakes because now making mistakes, it's makes you look a certain way. It's like whenever people are talking about success, even, and I've seen that in families too. Like, I was actually raised in Jersey. So I went to high school in Jersey, and I was staying with my cousins and seeing the way that they were raised. It's like it's just insane. And I could see, but anyway, not to get too personal because it's not just my life that I'll be talking about here. But it's like mistake was not part of their thing, I guess, right? So, and because of that, and myself on the other hand, I was always the nigga. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, it gives me a broader perspective on life. Do you see what I'm saying? Whereas, I could just show up somewhere and be like, man, this nigga's playing you, man. You can't see that shit? But for her or for them, it was totally different. Because, sometimes you just gotta suck a couple more dicks. You know what I'm saying? You gotta suck a couple of dicks. You gotta fail. That's part of life. So now being an extreme perfectionist, based on the fixed self, it's really stopping you from exploring life and from also learning. So therefore, you're not growing as a person because your growth comes from your mistakes, from the things that, do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's where my growths emanate from. Do you see what I'm saying? But just because this bitches didn't suck a couple dicks, they fucked. You know what I'm saying? You gotta fail. You got to fail. It's part of your growth. You cannot succeed without failing. So now I remember I did mention that, but the part that I didn't mention about the fake self is the fact that you prevent yourself from making mistakes because now you're falling in love with this idea of yourself is that everything got to be perfect. And because of that as well, you see, now let's take it a step further, how it affects you in your life. Now, if you have a plan, you want to create something, you want to open up a business, you're thinking it's got to be perfect. So it's holding you back because now you pretty much all or nothing. And all of that comes from a limited belief about yourself or even in life in general. Do you see what I'm saying? So your fake self, in so many words, I mean, I don't like to say it's holding you back, but because of ignorance, it is holding you back. And unfortunately, that's what I'm seeing around me. The whole trending, when you talk about trend, I'm sorry, or when you said like certain things are trending at this point, it's pretty much everybody doing the same thing. Whereas you're not meant for everybody to do the same thing. Because not any one of us, even a twin, don't have the same set of skills. Even twins born at the same time, and they're not even born at the same time anyway. One of them comes out first anyway. But that would be a whole different story. I mean, potatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. But the bottom line here is that it pretty much stems from a limited belief, and that's pretty much fucking up your life because now you don't have a broader perspective. Everything has to be either white, black, or white. I mean, that's pretty much the way you're looking at it. You know what I'm saying? And because now you're looking to please other people, guess what? Let's take it another step further now. Now, it's all about accomplishment. So now you're looking at statuses. That's how now you are able to identify yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? And technically everything that is being said about about the fake self, it will be the total opposite of what the true self does. Because the true self, like now we're talking about a limited belief, has more of a broader perspective on things. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'll give you another example too. This girl at my job, right? I think she has an incredible voice, right? And one time I was just walking by and she was singing. I'm like, God damn, girl. What? You know what I'm saying? You're doing your thizzle. Right? And then she turned around and tells me, yes, I love to sing and everything. However, the things that I'm seeing in the music industry, and I'm like, automatically, what the fuck that has to do with you? But anyway, I let her talk. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to cut her wisdom. I was listening to what the fuck she was saying. You know, um, but what that has to do with the music industry in reality? If that's what you want to do, I mean, I get it. I mean, I guess also what she was saying too, not just singing, she wanted to be famous. Do you see what I'm saying? Because if you want to sing, and now because singers are being shown on television. For you to be a singer, you got to be on television. You got to be famous. And she's confusing the two because of her limited belief. Now, had, she was operating on her true self, she wouldn't worry about no fucking music industry. In other words, she would have a broader perspective. She would be happy just by doing the things that she's doing. If that's what you want to do, nothing's stopping you, baby. You could stand out a motherfucking corner and play your music. You could become a music teacher. So many different things you can fucking do. You could do gigs, sing for people at fucking weddings. Like so many different things you could do. But because you're looking for statuses, because you're looking to be pleased by other people, it gives you a limited view of on how things on possibilities. And whereas there's unlimited possibilities, if that's what you want to do, there are so many ways you could do it. Write a book on music. I don't know. Who gives a fuck? It would be something new. Do you see what I'm saying? Or become a music teacher, or I don't know, like and this is just me saying things just by saying it, right? Or you could teach other people, or become like a vocalist. I mean, there's so many different things. There are unlimited things that you could do if she was operating from her true self. But because she's not operating from her true self, her possibilities become slim to none, technically. Because of that, and she has a great voice, she's not gonna sing. What a waste of talent. Do you see what I'm saying? And all of that stems from looking to please other people. That shit's fucking crazy. That shit is fucking crazy. Do you see what I'm saying? And now it's kind of like, so we talked about because you're looking to please other people, now it's all about statuses. It's all about this little clan, this little group. Now you want to fit in. In the meantime, your true self worth, you're not being comfortable with truly who you are. You know what I'm saying? How can you be the best version of yourself? Never. You're never going to be the best version of yourself. It's always gonna be this roller coaster. You're gonna be happy on one point. I mean, at one point, because now, just like I was talking about yesterday, because you're so based on your accomplishment. If we take that away from you, you crazy. You got to keep accomplishing. You know what I'm saying? Or keep on achieving shit. And there's no true self confidence here, because true self confidence comes with you being comfortable with your inner feelings, with your inner desires. And I even said, even me doing this shit here, I fucking love this shit. I take pleasure in doing that shit. In fact, nigga, I do this shit, yo. I live by myself, right? Yo, I be walking around this motherfucker talking to myself, breaking down shit, trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just love this shit. So now you put me behind a camera, nigga. Forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Forget about it. Shit, I'm right at home, nigga. You know what I mean? But anyway, shit, yeah, I think I'm doing too much now. But but the bottom line is that though. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you gotta, you looking to please other people. Now that you have a limited belief, it's pretty much you technically fucking yourself up. I mean, that's exactly what that is. You know what I'm saying? And there are so many other things that derives from it, and that's why it's not organic to live your life by this fake self. You know what I'm saying? Just like I said yesterday, you can't really love nobody because now you're not loving the person for who they are, but you loving them for what you think they have accomplished, or the way you even looking at them. And that's why even in relationship, it's crazy because I went through that myself. It's like it becomes more of a competition thing. Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of us coming together. You would think you're looking to build a family. Okay, now nigga, I got 50 cents or you got 25 cents. Let's put this shit together. Let's build. You know what I'm saying? But what you have instead, it's like the nigga got the 50 cent now claim to have $1 or like $5. And then here we are sharing a home together. Shit's chaotic. This shit is fucking chaotic. You know what I'm saying? And on top of it too, that's why most people seeking for marriages. Why? Because not first of all, it gives you status, but again, to please other people. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, and I'm not gonna turn this into a fucking relationship shit either. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of it stems from the fake self, and that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about in this video. As far as extended a little bit, and that's why this is part two. But on how the fake self affects you deeply without you even knowing. You're not truly happy. It prevents you from truly loving. You don't know what love is because you're not loving the person for who they are, but who you think they are. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's just so fucking. It's not organic at all. And you're not even allowing other people to come close to you too, because now you gotta hide your negativity. Do you see what I'm saying? And a true relationship is actually, is built on truth, right? So it's my mistakes, your mistakes, baby. Let's work on it. Let's get it better. I mean, let's get this thing better. But instead, it's like you hiding your mistakes, they're hiding their mistakes, and nigga, that's just beyond me. But unfortunately, that's what the reality is too, though. Unfucking believable. Whereas on the flip side of it, with true love now, you embody yourself. Because you cannot, and that shit is true, man. I used to hate hearing that shit, man. You know, and little did I know, here I am now saying that shit all the fucking time. If you do not love yourself, you cannot love nobody else. And that is so fucking true. There's no way out of it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the way I would approach anybody else, that's because, you know, I love this dude here, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll take an oath, man. You know what I'm saying? I got you, baby. Got you, good looking. So therefore you are repressing yourself from your true feelings too. Because now, if you're hiding the negativity about you, how can you change? How can you grow? But most importantly, that feeling that's being repressed now is into your shadow self is fucking you up, dog. And in so many words, that's what when you become spiritual, when you're doing your shadow work, technically that's what you're doing. You're going back as you elevate your consciousness now, and then you fixing up, you doing realignment. You were realigning shit. Oh, let me put that shit right over here. Microphone. Maybe it probably sound better now. I mean, I hope I didn't waste my time. I'm not doing this shit over anyway. Y'all gonna have to deal with that shit. Um, but what the fuck was I talking about? Yes. So therefore, do you see what I'm saying? It's a chain reaction. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's what makes it complicated. So now you have fucked yourself on so many different stages. Now, as you growing, and that's what I had to do. Like for me, I had to go backward now, unfuck myself, all of those different layers, because that's how deep the fake self goes. Now you were repressing yourself. It gets into your shadow self, and it's not going away. And guess what happens now? Now you have that roller coaster shit going on, and that shit is crazy. That shit is crazy. And I've seen it happening with a lot of so-called spiritual people. I live in fucking Atlanta, right? So I've been meeting different type of people. the so-called, the black consciousness and all that shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Because a nigga's always good for a good meal. I'm always down for a good meal. Okay? For a good conversation. Listen, I'm up for it, right? But now the one thing that I noticed though, they come from pretty much their perspective goes from motherfucking, let's just say, straight up from like 0 to 100. You know what I'm saying? Because the person is not truly being themselves. So it's just a matter of, finding something that trigger that true self. Do you see what I'm saying? Whereas if you're being your true self, you are centered, always centered. Do you see what I'm saying? So they kind of go from, it's like you've never seen anybody that didn't have that had a low self-esteem. And now when they started learning about self-esteem, now it's kind of like, okay, let me put it this way. And I realized, and I kind of noticed that especially with women, right? Women that used to fuck a lot, niggas used to, like fuck them and live them like Jay's. Anyway, I don't even fucking remember the actual lyrics, but now they start learning about self-esteem. They don't quite have it yet. So what they do now, it's like they went from maybe having to chase men, for lack of better terms, and now they want men to chase them. Two extremities. Either either one of them is fucking organic. So so in other words, you still have a low self-esteem. Why would you want anybody to chase you? For what? For what? Why the fuck would you want anybody? Like, I don't want nobody to chase me, dog. For what? You see what I'm saying? So they went from, having a low self esteem, or maybe they were the one doing the chasing. I don't know. And now somehow they start listening about spirituality, right? Or they start learning about their true self. And which is also going to bring me to that point too, but I just don't want to get ahead of myself here, right? So we're talking about, oh shit. So it's every time I'm speaking, I gotta drink something. But anyway, no, let me stop. I'm just gonna drink some water. But it's just the nature of, I guess, myself. Anyway, so yeah, so they always go. I mean, maybe they were the one doing the chasing, and now they want people to chase them. But that's also a low self esteem because, as I stated, why would you want a motherfucker to chase you? For what? For you to feel important? For you to be needed? You know what I'm saying? God damn. Do you see what I'm saying? That's like me saying, like for me to answer your question, you gotta ask me the question like 10 times. Like I didn't hear it the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like what the fuck that has to do with anything? You're still looking to please people. You still, well, not necessarily people at that point. I mean, shit, I don't know what the fuck that is. That's beyond me. But I'm saying this to say, when you centered, when you find that middle point, which was that's what your true self allows you to do, or as they grow. And this is the part that I wanted to talk about because, and I did mention that yesterday too, is that for you to flip things around, you gotta be devoted. And that's what I realized. That's where a lot of people fail, man. They have that half knowledge because they are not they have not devoted themselves to the true self. You gotta devote yourself to the true self because either way, you are devoting yourself to something, and that's very important. You can't be organic by being halfway toxic. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if do you see, like you can't, it's like you can't be fully smart by being halfway dumb. Like it doesn't make sense. You know? Like how you gonna, like if you want to have a body like The Rock, well you got to do the shit that The Rock does, not necessarily what he does, to the fucking T and shit. But the bottom line is you got to hit the gym. You got a certain way you got to eat. Like you gotta find, you gotta do the shit that will take you there. Same thing. You want to lose weight, like you can't. What the fuck? What the fuck? So that's where devotion comes in. And what happened is sometimes people would just hear something, it sounds good, or they kind of like learn from it, but they haven't devoted themselves to it. You see what I'm saying? And now, when you don't devote yourself to it, because that knowledge is going to have to grow out of you, right? So, therefore, you have not become the knowledge, you have not fully grown. And in so many words, too, that somehow is connected to the parable that Jesus was talking about when he talks about the, what is it called? Was it the sower? I don't know, but it was synonymous to the man that has those grain, and as he was walking around, and those grain was somehow, they fell in so many different places until it found the one that has, like the I think it was called like the good ground or whatever the fuck. Like, don't quote me on that. It's been a minute. But the bottom line is, I guess his explanation was when, because I mean, what that didn't say is, I mean, technically, if you're going by the Jesus parable, what he was talking about the person that fully opened up their heart, right? And how, for them to receive the message, for them to really grow. But for you to fully open up your heart, it takes devotion, man. You got to be devoted to it. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's that, man. So, damn, I felt like I talked about the same thing that I talked about yesterday in so many words. Oh yes, but I think the difference this time is, I was just making the connection on, what happens when you go by the fake self. There's a whole chain reaction, a domino effect that actually happens, and you pretty much fuck yourself up in so many different stages and levels. And it's the same thing too. Once you start going by your true self, then you start to open up yourself like that lotus in so many different levels. And that's what you want to do. Okay? Let me see what else. So now, with that being said, guys, I'm currently working on my Patreon. It's gonna come out soon. Technically, what I would like to do is to build a community where, speaking of devotion, where we can actually be committed, to that type of conversation, keeping it healthy. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you do smart shit for you to be smart. I mean, there's no way out of it. You know. And with that being said, I'll definitely keep you guys posted. I'm gonna have a lot more videos where, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be doing it in a lecture, sort of like format, but it would be a lot detailed than, just me talking now and being pretty much all over the place using this example, that example, and but it would be a little more thorough and a little more detailed, when it comes to certain points and how for you to go about it and for you to get yourself to the next level, because there are so much to talk about. Do you see what I'm saying? And part of what I do too, and what I came to understand is pretty much to, unite what you call spirituality with the human life, because I don't dissociate them. Everything is mental. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think also that's what quantum physics, in so many words, is teaching us as well. When we talk about what we call the material world, they're telling you it's actual energy. And here's something else too, and I feel like a lot of people fail to understand that part. So when you talk about Maya, which is Earth, okay, the physical realm, what that is it is an illusion. And I realize a lot of people think illusion means it doesn't exist or it's fake. No, 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 no. That's not what the meaning of fucking illusion is. An illusion simply states or simply means that what you think it is not what you think it is. It is not what you think it is. In so many words, we're thinking this is something material. I mean, obviously, this may be, I don't know, but I'm not gonna, start this fucking argument. But looking at our body, the world that we're fucking pretty much interacting with, we're looking at it as being physical world, whereas quantum physics now is pretty much telling you no, those are condensed energy. So therefore, it's not what you think it is. That's why, in so many words, being in this realm, you got to move by faith because you can't go by what you're seeing, not necessarily because it's not good. No, it serves its purpose. Everything has a purpose. Your intuition is no greater than your fucking intellect. They complement each other. Do you see what I'm saying? Every spiritual master has a high intellect or highly intellect. Highly fucking intellect. Because what the spirituality does is that it expands your vision. Okay, have you noticed in the Matrix or also in the movie They Live? When they start seeing things, it was represented by them wearing glasses. Well, what does glasses does? It expands your vision. So let's just say if you can only see some shit from here to here, now having your glasses on, now you can see it from here to there. So that's where, and that's pretty much what it is. You use it for what it's for. Your intellect, the problem with the one sided person or the person who has not grasped the other side of us, because we are physical as much as spiritual. And also, again, I'm using that for lack of a better term because everything is spiritual. But just bear with me. I'm just making this point, right? So, they go hand in hand. So a lot of people who sort of like disregard spirituality is because they don't see that, they don't embody that part of them, that side of them. So now they become one-sided. And in so many words, that's what you have now calling science. And as we all know by now, and a lot of great masters, occultists always knew that from way back, was this is a limited view. It's a limited sight. You're not gonna get the full picture just by doing this. So I mean, you know, so that's why for me personally, I don't really dissociate because I realize that they complement each other. And that's what harmony is. And in fact, not to give it away too much, my next video is going to be, I'm going to be talking about African spirituality and the European perspective on spirituality. And as you can see here, I'm saying a European perspective because all spirituality came from Africa, right? You want to talk about the Egyptians, the Sumerian, it all comes from that part of the world. If you don't want to call it Africa, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, shit, maybe I could talk about it a little bit more as I'm doing. Maybe I may not have to do this other video on it, but but essentially what I wanted to talk about was, in African spirituality, and the reason why I'm also labeling it African spirituality is because this perspective of what's being said about spirituality now is not necessarily African spirituality or the true spirituality for what it is. Because what you're looking now, and it's pretty much an intellectual, a one side way of looking at spirituality it's a one-sided view on the way you're looking at life or the way spirituality has been pretty much explained. It's an outward perspective. I'll give you a perfect example, right? So a lot of people, when you talk about death, if you're looking at death from an outward perspective, you see the end. But if you're looking at it from an inward perspective, you see transformation. And that's what we've been going through. Like, this is eternal. This is eternal, motherfuckers. This is eternal. Because we tend to look at death like it is the end. Whereas, listen, Depending on how many years you are, or depending, no matter what your age is, we look at the death cycle in our life, in nature, in everything else. It's a cycle of death and birth. So, eternal from an inward perspective doesn't mean, let's just say, you live forever. Because death is not the end, it's a transformation. And if you're a medium, you talk to spirit, you will know that. And that's why for us in African spirituality, we always worship the fucking ancestors. Because we know these motherfuckers ain't dead. Like I know for me for a fact, my dad to transition, I talked that nigga like 3, 4 times. So how can death be the end? So what we really talking about here is different cycles. It's transformation and cycles. Motherfucker, you want to return back to Earth? You return back to Earth. But the difference in, mastering yourself and then the person who's not a master, who has not learned or does the thing that they're supposed to do, they are automatically being reincarnated versus the masters choose to come back, choose to be here. Because we know what? This is a fucking illusion. We understand Maya as the great mirror. Because once you start looking at yourself, the mirror doesn't exist. Meanwhile, the mirror is still there. But anyway, there's more to talk about that. Patreon page will be out, I would say, sometimes next week. I'm looking to build a community where, if you have any questions, what I specialize in pretty much is, I guess that's what the spirit, pretty much revealed to me. And also, based on a lot of life experiences too. It's pretty much a healer. Not your typical or physical type of healer, but the type of healer that would help you to deal with your emotions. Because emotional intelligence, in so many words, that's what spirituality is. For you to become the master of your emotions. Now that would be the physical aspect of it. Now there's another part of it as far as delving more into what we call the mystère in voodoo, or in so many words, stepping into the occult, or the, what's the word I'm looking for? The fuck, the unknown, or grasping as you delve more into that other side of yourself, which is the intangible side of you. Then that's where magic comes in. That's when those rituals comes in. That's where these things comes in. Do you see what I'm saying? And in that video too, I'm gonna talk some shit. You know what I'm saying? About nature, why a lot of our ancestors used nature, because they knew like they was never against nature. Do you see what I'm saying? And they used certain animals, for specific reasons. Because they understood what they were talking about and they knew those animals would represent certain things. Like the serpent. There's a reason why the serpent is highly recognized in the occult mist world. Do you see what I'm saying? But there's more to talk about that. That's not what I wanted to talk about, but that's pretty much what the next thing's going to be about. So stay tuned. That's coming out. And Patreon also is going to be worked on. So I'm going to have videos there, encourage different type of conversation, questions, and let's just keep this thing going, man. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it's always a pleasure. You know what I'm saying? So, what else you want me to say? I love you, motherfuckers. With that being said, Aishin, Mali.